Good evening, everyone. My name is Lakeisha Groover, and I am volunteering this evening as a facilitator for this evening's information session with Hofstra University. Welcome to the NJACAC Virtual College Exploration Program powered by StriveScan. To get us started this evening, I have a few reminders and announcements. You will be able to ask questions to the presenters at any time during the presentation by using the Q&A button. So you can just type in your questions by clicking the Q&A button. Your camera and microphones are off for tonight's webcast, so the panelists will not be able to see or hear you. Please know that you can sign up for more sessions. This is only one of many college presentations that are going to be offered throughout the program. So you can always do that by going to njacac.org/virtual fairs. And last but not least, this session will be recorded and it will be available in about 1 week. And you can go back and watch it at any time, again, at njacac.org/virtual fair. I am now going to turn it over to our presenters for tonight's information session.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your help today. So my name is Joseph Maroney. I'm a Senior Assistant Dean of Admissions at Hofstra University. And we are really excited to welcome you. Thank you so much for joining us. We know that we have many sessions to choose from. I just wanted to go ahead and drop the information for the general office. That way, if you do have any questions, and for some reason you're unable to get a hold of myself, you're able to go ahead and chat with somebody within our office. I am actually the liaison for all of New Jersey. So I am the one who will be your point of contact throughout the conversation and throughout the application process. I'll be dropping my contact information at the end of today's information session should you have any questions. So I hope that gives you a quick little nice introduction into what it's like to be at Hofstra University. We do have a very nice, diverse, vibrant campus. We are a suburban campus located in Hempstead, New York, just on Long Island in Nassau County. What that does is it gives us a lot of opportunities for students to really customize their experience. They give them the traditional suburban campus that they might be looking for. Quads to throw frisbee on, 21 Division I sports as you saw. But the nice thing is, although we are a medium-sized school, just about 240 acres, we're able to provide the resources of a bigger school when it comes to our undergraduate programs. We have over 160 programs at Hofstra University, and the great thing is, when us admissions counselors are reading your applications, we're able to review you for all 160 plus of those majors. So when you're applying to Hofstra University, you're not applying to our School of Calico, Public Policy, Government, and International Affairs, our Frank G. Zarb School of Business, our Fred Gimattis School of Engineering and Applied Sciences, our Hofstra University College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, our Lawrence Herbert School of Communications, amongst many others, including our School of Health Professions and Human Services. Although we do have schools and select colleges, you are applying to the university overall. This for you as an applicant just means you have so many opportunities you can choose from. The great thing is, since you're accepted to all programs, if you're coming in undecided, you have so many different routes you can go down, and you could explore different opportunities and different interests that you have, and we can still guarantee that you'll graduate within 4 years. You just have to declare a major at Hofstra University by the end of your sophomore year. With that said, it's very common for students to have more than one major. I myself had 2 majors and 4 minors when I went to Hofstra. Gabby, who's one of our current students you'll hear from later on, in fact, has a major and a minor amongst many other things. So the great thing is you really can customize your experience. And the reason we're able to do this is because although we have the resources of a bigger school, we do in fact have that medium-sized campus with a population of just about 6,500 students. This amount of students really makes it so that way you have people who you can have that, family away from home, but you also can continue to grow that family. You'll meet brand new people every single day. And that's the great thing about our campus. Other things I want to touch on regarding our student population is that we do in fact have about half of our students come from out of state. We also have 75 countries represented and 48 states represented in our student population. One other thing I like to note about our students is that we do in fact have a good amount of our students who are living on campus. 80% of our first year students live on campus and 20% will commute. The remaining students for their sophomore year will actually go ahead and move on campus. So we have around 25% of our students commuting, 75% of our students living on campus at any given point. All right, so I am having an issue, so this is fun. But I could go ahead and just speak a little bit further about the university's population and what we kind of operate with at Hofstra. So we actually do have a really strong program when it comes to finding internships. About 71% of students at Hofstra will have at least one internship. The reason we're able to get this is because we have a bunch of resources available for students. In addition to their admissions counselors, all students will get a financial aid counselor, a career center counselor, someone who's from the Center for Academic Excellence. What their main purpose on campus is to ensure that students are getting adjusted to college life the best way that they can. By that, we mean we want to make sure that students are really getting the hands-on instruction, they're getting the opportunities with internships, co-ops for our School of Engineering, but also we're making sure that students are getting encouraged to really get experiences outside the classroom with their clubs and getting involved with our location. We are only 25 miles away from New York City, so that just gives a lot of opportunities for students when it comes to, really exploring what they want to do and having their interests come to them. The best thing is, though, this means that our faculty are coming from the New York metropolitan area. This is a crucial part of our curriculum at Hofstra because we really focus on hands-on instruction. We have an average class size of 21. Our student-faculty ratio is 13:1. What this does is it really makes sure that students are knowing their professors. More importantly, their professors know their students. I know that I have a lot of opportunities that I've gotten through my professors, but also my fellow classmates as well. Because we have the opportunity to have the smaller class sizes, your classmates truly become your professional network and your social network all in one shot. So you're really gonna get your bang for your buck and you're really able to really maximize on what you're looking for when it comes to Hofstra University. We also do have a bunch of different opportunities when it comes to organizations. As I mentioned, we really want our students to get involved outside of the classroom. And one of the best ways to do that is to get involved. So we have over 200 clubs and organizations on our campus. This just kind of scratches the surface of them, but we have them that are related to, identity, whether it be your religion, your orientation, your heritage. We have them related to Greek life, if that's something that you're interested in. About 15% of our student population takes part in Greek life. In addition to our Division I sports, we do have club sports that students can get involved in. We have clubs that are related to, academics, so you really can branch even further into your studies, like I mentioned, but We also have a peanut butter and jelly lovers club on campus. We have a coloring club on campus. So you really can kind of find those people who will really become your family away from home. And clubs are a great way to kind of find those commonalities. Our clubs also get very involved in the surrounding community. So not only will you be part of the Hofstra community, you will be getting involved outside. We have at least 100,000 hours a year of community service done at Hofstra University. And it's not just clubs that are focused on community service. So we have student athletes get involved. One of our largest events on campus called Shake a Rake. We actually go around to the elderly and disabled around campus, and we'll rake the leaves of their homes. So we really want to make sure that our students are getting involved in every way that they possibly can. Now, the way that you find out about clubs and organizations, we actually have an online database. So you can really filter them based off of your class schedule. You can filter them based off of your interest, or you could even just kind of go to our website and see what kind of options are out there. You know, if you've always wanted to maybe become a politician, you could join one of our political science clubs. You're never restricted on your major and what your clubs can get involved in. Housing is guaranteed all 4 years. Considering you are coming from New Jersey, I'm sure this is something that your family is concerned about. You are able to live on campus for all 4 years. We have multiple types of housing available for students. We have suite style housing, which is around 4 students living in one suite, 2 students living in each bedroom. All 4 students will share a common lounge and a restroom. We also have traditional style housing, or our towers as we call them at Hofstra. And this is actually where you have like a communal housing, where you'll have a single, double, or a triple. We also will have communal restrooms shared by the floor. The main difference is the communal restrooms are in fact cleaned by our staff 3 times a day, where the suite style restrooms are cleaned by the residents living there because it is a private restroom. What's nice is first year students have the most options when it comes to living on campus. We do have first year only housing, and that is in fact inside our suite style housing options. We also do have what we call living learning communities. And living learning communities are ways for students with similar interests, whether it be major related or extracurricular. You can kind of get involved and have a community built within, so you have those study groups kind of set up already for you, or you have those friends to go into the city if that's something that interests you. Housing included is, well, laundry is included in housing, I should say, so you don't have to bring a bag of quarters, anything like that. You also could bring a car on campus for all 4 years. I would say around 75% of my New Jersey students bring a car. It is very easy to get to and from Long Island via the New Jersey Transit, especially since Penn Station is home to both the transit and the Long Island Railroad. And we do have shuttle services that take students to the mall, to the train stations, as well as to the movie theater, and the surrounding shopping centers. Touching on our location, we are 25 miles away from New York City. This really gives students, like I was touching on earlier, the opportunity to explore different opportunities for, you know, academic interests, but also cultural experiences. Internships are plentiful. These are just scratching the surface when it comes to companies that our students are getting internships. A lot of these internships do in fact turn into full-time jobs afterwards. So it's very critical that our students get involved and make these connections earlier on. The great thing is about Hofstra, if you're coming in with a major decided, you actually have the opportunity to take these classes starting your very first semester. Surrounding our campus, we are only 10 miles away from Jones Beach and Long Beach. We have Eisenhower State Park and Nassau Coliseum right next door to our campus. And there's JFK is only a few miles away, so we're really able to maximize on our location for study abroad opportunities once that is an option for our students. Going over the application process, I know this is something that a lot of students and families are concerned about. We are an early action school. We are not early decision, so we are never going to force you to come to Hofstra. Students who are on our campus are here because they want to be here. We have early action 1, meaning if you have all of the materials needed for your application, you can apply and submit your application before on November 15th. You'll find out your scholarship and decision approximately 1 month later in December. Likewise, early action 2, December 15th, you'll find out in January. We do have rolling admission as well. There is no downside. There is still plenty of scholarship opportunity available for students. It's just for those families who want information a little bit sooner, we do have early action available for them. We understand that right now time's a little bit tough when it comes to trying to get your hands on an SAT or ACT. We have been test optional for a couple of years now, so we have become experts at Hofstra and indicating success at the university by looking at the components of an application. So there is no stress needed if you are unable to get a hands-on application. We can still go ahead and award you not only decision, but also scholarship. If you have been able to get your hands on a test score, though, whether it be your junior year or this year, we do suggest that if you have at least an 1120 super scored on your SAT or a 25 super scored on your ACT, that you do in fact submit, because it can open up a little bit more opportunity for scholarship. When it comes to scholarship, we have an average scholarship of last year ranging around $25,000. Our scholarships have gone up to $32,000, and that's more than half of tuition. So the great thing about going to a private school or applying to a private school is we really do have a strong endowment. We're really able to make a Hofstra University affordable, and most of my New Jersey families are paying what they would be paying if they went to an in-state school and lived on campus in New Jersey. Another indicator that we're going to be looking at, and a primary indicator, is going to be the GPA. That 3.7 that you see, I do want to stress, is an average. That is definitely not the minimum. We obviously accept above that, but we do accept below that GPA. 90% of our students will have at least a 3.0 GPA, and that is a weighted GPA. If your high school operates on a 100-point scale, that's around a 92 average. We have a Hofstra online application, so you could always go to hofstra.edu/apply and check that out. We are also on the Common App, so if you are applying to schools that are on the Common App, I want your life to be easier, so by all means go ahead and just add Hofstra University. Regardless of how you apply, you will be filling out the question, why Hofstra? So attending a session like this, or interacting with us, whether it be virtually or in person, you do have the opportunity to really explain why Hofstra. And that's the best way for me as a admissions counselor to really hear your voice and make sure that we're the right fit for you and you're the right fit for us. In addition to that component with the application, I will be looking at your high school transcript. If you are applying, submitting test scores, I'll be looking at those as well. I also look at what you're doing outside of the classroom. So definitely don't be shy. Tell me everything that you're doing at your high school, community service-wise, things of that nature, athletics. And then we also like to see 2 letters of recommendation. One especially coming from somebody who's seen you in the classroom, and preferably someone who's seen you outside the classroom, whether it be a counselor, coach, or a volunteer coordinator, someone who's kind of seen you in a work ethic type of leadership role. So things I want to quickly touch on before I introduce one of our current students, Gabby, is that Hofstra University really just wants to make sure that all students, regardless of where you're coming from, really feel a sense of community and a sense of home. I feel we've been able to do this by making sure that you really do know those who are around you, to make sure that you have that sense of support. The way I like to kind of explain it at Hofstra is there's enough hands to grab if you need one, but we're not going to hold your hand. We're going to give that sense of independence that you look forward to when you're going to a college experience. We're going to give it the opportunity to really not only explore yourself academically, but also kind of see what you want to do when it comes to studying abroad and things of that nature. Touching on that right now, obviously with the times we're in with travel restrictions, we don't offer study abroad, but we do have 60 programs offered for our current students. And those are just Hofstra programs. We do accept outside programs as well. Then the great thing about having a bunch of countries represented from our international students, right now our students, even though they're doing classes virtually, are able to get a global perspective and a global experience by having international students inside their classes. To give you a touch on where the university is at this point, as I mentioned earlier, we do have virtual opportunities to explore the Hofstra University, but we do offer in-person visits. You do have to register ahead of time. They are socially distant, but if you do want to kind of walk our pathways and get a sense for what it's like to be a part of the Hofstra Pride, we are in fact welcoming families and visitors. I want to take this chance to go ahead and introduce Gabby. Gabby, you want to share a little bit more information about yourself, what you're doing at Hofstra University?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Gabby. I'm also from New Jersey. So I guess I'm doing a couple of things at Hofstra. I'm currently a senior journalism major, and I have 2 minors, one in philosophy and one in mass media studies. And a lot of the clubs that I'm in are based on my major, but some of them are not. So I'm in the honors college academically, and then I'm also in a couple of academic honor societies for philosophy, and then just kind of just in general. And then I'm also in the rock climbing club, which is super fun. And I'm also the managing editor of the Hofstra Chronicle, which is our student-run independent newspaper. And I'm the director of marketing and social media at our radio station, WRHU. And there I'm also heavily involved in the sports department, which is the flagship station for the New York Islanders, a professional hockey team. So for them, I've been on site. I've reported in locker rooms and post-game press conferences. And I've also been in studio and helping to produce those broadcasts. I was actually in for the playoff broadcast that we produced over the summer. I was in for the last game of the season, which was pretty sad. But so yeah, it's a cool experience.
Thank you, Gabby. And as you mentioned, you have 2 minors on top of your major. As I previously spoke on, you do in fact have that pretty common at Hofstra University. It's very rare that students are graduating with just one thing on their degree. But it's nice that you do have the opportunity to kind of beef up your degree in a sense. And it's very easy to switch as well. So although I came in with business and Gabby came in with communications, if we decided to switch to engineering, we had the opportunity to do so. That's the great thing, you're not applying to a school and then having to be a transfer student, waiting for a spot to open up. We don't have caps in any of our programs. So we're going to make sure that we have enough faculty available for students. And the great thing is it's always faculty who's teaching our classes, never a TA. It's always a full-time professor. So Gabby, on that note, can you tell me about one of your favorite professors and kind of how you've interacted with them, either that semester or throughout your 4 years, if it's continued on?
Yeah, so one of my absolute favorite professors, his name is Brian McFadden. He's in the Mass Media Studies department. I took him actually last semester for the first time, and I absolutely loved his class. It was so interactive. He always got us going, and he was one of the only classes that I had that consistently kept a schedule when things shifted online because of the pandemic. So his class really didn't change from in-person to online, which I really appreciated. Even content-wise, I still learned the same stuff, and it was the same class as it would have been in person. So I'm taking him again this semester, and I'm also doing an independent study with him. So we meet pretty much every 2 weeks or so, and we do a deep dive into the topic that I've chosen, and we talk about different papers I can read. I'll go to his office hours, and not only will we talk about all of the assignments, he's also one of my club advisors. So we talk about assignments, we talk about the clubs, we just kind of talk about life in general. So he's a really great resource person to talk to, and he's super into media, which I am also into media. We talk about Survivor and Big Brother together. So yeah, no, he's a great guy, definitely one of my favorite professors, and very willing to help and talk to all of his students about pretty much anything.
And that brought up a few points that I want to touch on, so thank you. So all professors do in fact have office hours that are required, and they are solely there to be helping students. They're waiting there. They're not able to really be doing much other than helping students during their office hours. What's oftentimes though, and I feel like Gabby can speak on this too, I spoke to my professor outside of office hours because the way our campus is divided, we actually have one side of campus that's solely academic. So all of your classrooms and professors' offices are on one side of campus. And we did that so that way, when you're getting your Dunkin' Donuts on Hofstra's campus, you're probably going to run into your professor kind of grabbing their Dunkin' Donuts as well. What's also nice is because our class sizes are smaller and we have our sections spread out, you're able to talk with your professor right after class if need be and kind of walk to his office with him or with her as well. And the great thing is our professors' offices are oftentimes in the same building, if not right next to the classroom that your classes are in. So your professors are super accessible. It's not like you have to, leave class, sprint across campus just to go ahead and ask them a quick question and then sprint all the way to the other side. Everything's within the same building, oftentimes the same hallway. But 90% of our faculty have the highest degree in their field, which I think is something also to touch on. And they all have experience in the field though. So we don't have professors who just graduated grad school and then just never left the college setting. They've all worked in the industry. Communications is a great example of that. But same thing even with like our history and our School of Education, our School of Engineering, it's the same type of system. We really make sure that our students and our faculty have the experiences, so those experiences that happen inside internships. The second time, that's like not the first time a student has ever been involved in that. So on that note, Gabby, how has the classroom experiences and settings kind of helped you in your internships and in your experience on the radio?
Yeah, so this semester I'm actually interning remotely with NBC News with their social media team. So all of that I've done in my classes and my extracurriculars has been really, really helpful in one, kind of like getting an internship, and two, like being able to succeed in it. So far I've been there a month and they seem to like me. So, but I think that not only have I learned a lot of like managerial skills and like how to manage time and like technical skills, how to edit things, how to use different like softwares that'll help with posting and scheduling and things like that. But I think I just like learned people skills in the first place. I think when you're involved in so many different clubs like I am, you just kind of get used to talking to people. And I think that's making connections in that way, and networking is really the biggest thing for me, as at least as a communications student, and really kind of any major that you're going into, because you need to know people when you start looking for jobs and kind of like starting your post-grad life. So I think that just being part of so many clubs and getting to interact with my professors and getting their advice has been really helpful. And even just in class, everything that I've learned in class has definitely transferred over to my internship and past internships. So that's been really cool. And just like extracurricular wise, I get to do a lot of cool stuff. I mean, like not every college student gets to say that they work with a professional hockey team. So we are the only college radio station that has a connection with a professional sports team. So that's pretty cool to say too. That doesn't hurt my resume.
Yeah, and the great thing is, and you touched on it, you really do get prepared inside the classroom, because we have a lot of the facilities that you'd be utilizing in the industry as itself. So for example, for our physician assistant students in our cadaver lab, like they're able to utilize our School of Medicine, our School of Engineering. We have a cement lab, a bio and cell and tissue lab, ultrasound lab. For our students who are interested in theater, we actually have the most accurate rendition of the globe stage in North America on our campus. So if they're interested in acting in Shakespearean films, or theater plays or dramas or tragedies, they're getting that experience that you probably wouldn't be getting at other places. And it's interesting. You don't expect a school like Hofstra, I mean, it's a recognized school. It's nationally ranked, we're very well known, but in the grand scheme of higher education, we're kind of an underdog in a sense. But we have all these different things going for us, like, our contract with the Islanders, but also, having really strong programs. And I was talking, a really strong alumni as well. Our alumni network is really vast, and I think that's super important for students to be looking at. Our alumni come back to campus, and a lot of our alumni are still connected. I mean, I'm an alum and I've never left, but that's because I like connecting prospective students to other alum and to our current students, because that's truly what I think makes Hofstra unique, is that you have such a great time on campus, and alumni don't think twice about coming back, whether it be, a guest speaking or event, or, for the Hofstra Chronicle, our newspaper. I wouldn't be surprised if past editors and, past writers have come to kind of speak about what it's like to, be transitioning from the Chronicle to writing for NBC or writing for a major publication. So it's really nice that, you have these resources to kind of dabble with, but you also have the fun aspects of college. So Gabby, tell me what you kind of do for fun. I mean, rock climbing club sounds kind of fun. Tell me a little bit more about that. And, what are students doing on the weekends?
Yeah, so rock climbing is always a good time, definitely. Though there's like a group of students that'll organize different trips to gyms into the city and on Long Island, and you'll go climb for a day or for an evening, and you'll get trained in different areas if you're interested in that kind of thing, or you can just go to hang out and exercise and have a good time with your friends. There's definitely always stuff to do on campus. Right now there's a ton of movie nights, outdoor movie nights, that they're playing in like our different fields on campus. So we're able to socially distance, but still get together with some of our friends. And there's also a lot to do around campus as well. My friends and I actually this past weekend on Saturday morning, we drove to Jones Beach at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we watched the sunrise. So definitely like a lot of fun stuff to do, and it's on campus, off campus. There's really, I don't even really go home that often, if I'm being honest. Not that I don't like my house, but I like staying on campus because there's always something to do.
Is on that note, like how often are you going home? How do you get to and from campus? And do you feel like that students are primarily are going home? Like, are you the only student on campus because you're staying on, or are, you know, is campus still active on the weekends and after classes?
Oh yeah, definitely not. I would say campus is definitely bustling on the weekends and after classes. I would say I maybe go home maybe 4 times a semester, not super often. Normally I go home when we have like longer breaks. Um, I have a car on campus. I brought a car my sophomore year, but my freshman year, I would take the train back and forth, or my mom would come pick me up. So it's all really doable. It takes me maybe like an hour to get home. Not bad. And yeah, again, as I said before, there's always something to do on campus. People don't go home. You'll see them always going out to eat in like the student center, or like playing spike ball in the intramural, like playing sports in the intramural field. So there's definitely a robust campus life pretty much all the time. And you'll see people when it's warm on the quads playing frisbee. Very like that stereotypical kind of college image that you might have. We do have that, even though we're a smaller school.
And you actually touched on something that I want to kind of go over, and that's eating on campus. I feel like that's very important, especially coming from New Jersey. I mean, you know, you got to make sure you can get your good bagels and your good pizza and things like that. And obviously, Long Island and New York is well known for that too. But the great thing is we do have a lot of well-known franchises on campus, as well as, you know, custom Hofstra ones. So our franchises that are very common and well-known, obviously, as you saw in the video, we have a Starbucks. As I mentioned, we have a Dunkin' Donuts. We also have an Au Bon Pain, which is like a Panera pretty much. We also do have a Red Mango on campus, which I really enjoy. And we have a Freshens and an Einstein bagel. So you got your familiar foods, but there's a lot of different opportunities to eat on campus. And by that, I mean, there's food on both sides, and there's no dining hall that like isn't open at any time. So there is a spot you could always get food. We have a 24-hour dining hall. We even have some locations that'll deliver to your residence hall too. Brooklyn Slice, our pizzeria, will do that. So you're never gonna go hungry. But obviously, like as you saw, we are close to Manhattan. We are close to Brooklyn and Queens. And the great thing is Long Island's very diverse culturally too. So you could always order, you know, some great Indian food or Asian food to campus via Grubhub, whatever it may be. You can go ahead and get your food there. But we do have a meal plan. Gabby, do you want to quickly explain how our meal plan works on campus?
Yeah, so our meal plan is more like a debit system. You have like a prepaid amount of money that you load onto your ID card, which is kind of like your lifeline at Hofstra. If you live on campus and you lose that, then it's not fun. But there is a card services spot where you can replace it. So, but yeah, so it's more like a debit system. You pretty much pay for what you're buying. So if I want a slice of pizza and it happens to be $2, then I'm only paying $2 for my slice of pizza. Other places will have kind of like a swipe system where you swipe into a dining hall and then you get unlimited food. I prefer this because I can load on as much money as I want. And then if I run out, I can also load on more money. So I don't know. I think it's a good system. I haven't had a problem with it yet. And I haven't run out of money either before. So it's been good.
And on the other note of food, and a lot of students are always concerned about, okay, what if I'm eating too much food? Because I can be eating at all hours of the day. We do have a fitness center on campus that is, when open, you're able to go ahead and utilize our weight room. It also has a yoga studio, a spin studio, a cardio floor, and things like that. It also has a basketball court and an indoor track. And that's also home. The fitness center is home to our intramural and our rec sports. So we have club sports that compete on a D2 level. So if you don't want to compete directly at the D1 level, but you still want to, you know, pick up a volleyball now and then, or maybe try playing Quidditch, which is our largest club sport on campus, you can always have that opportunity. We also do have intramural sports. All students do get 2 free tickets to all of our athletic games on campus for Division I. You also do get 2 free tickets to all of our dance department shows, drama department shows, and our music department shows. So you really can kind of have things to do. As Gabby mentioned, you know, we have things to do on campus, the surrounding area of campus. So for that reason, most students are kind of around campus. Honestly, you don't even know who's commuting and who's not, because you're in the same, like, you're in the library until 8 o'clock the same way a commuter student is. Because like I said earlier, you really kind of find your family away from home at Hofstra, so you're not always in a rush to get back to your home, especially, you know, if you want that college experience that's more typical. So Gabby, I could see that you're in your residence hall right now. So can you tell us a little bit about why you chose where you live, and you know what it's like to live on campus, what you like about it?
Yeah, I live in Vanderpool Hall, which is a tower, and it's also the Honors College Living Learning Community. So I chose to live in the Honors College mostly because I wanted to live with a mix of people. Towers are freshmen, sophomore, juniors, seniors, and so I wanted to live with a variety of people. And I also took an Honors College seminar my freshman year, so I had class with people that I was living with, which was really nice, doing homework together. And I liked the environment so much that I stayed. It's a pretty quiet building, which I really like. But a lot of my friends, I kind of just made friends here and I kind of stick with them. So we'll see each other in the hallways, in the elevator, stuff like that. I'm always waving to somebody. I feel like I have the same schedules as so many people. But yeah, I like living on campus. I stayed on campus all 4 years. I just liked the environment. I think I liked having a place where there was always food, because food that I didn't have to make myself, even though there is a kitchen in my dorm. I appreciated just kind of being able to run out to the 24-hour convenience store across the street and grab some mac and cheese at 2 o'clock in the morning, because that's kind of just college for you. But yeah, so I think it's just a good environment living on campus, and I just enjoyed it. I liked living next door to my friends. I liked living down the hall because we could always just hang out. I didn't have to be like, oh, come on over to my house or whatever. It's a good environment. I definitely enjoy living on campus.
Yeah, and a lot of students do. You know, and the great thing is when you're coming with your roommates and things like that, you might know somebody coming from New Jersey that you want to live with, which you have the opportunity to do so. But a majority of our students are in fact living in residence halls with a random roommate. Or when we say random at Hofstra, we mean strategically placed roommate, because all students fill out a housing application and we have a lot of text fields and drop-down menus. So it's not some algorithm kind of throwing random students together. It is kind of placed by our staff. And the best thing is, since housing is guaranteed, just in case you do have a hiccup with your roommate, you do have the option to go ahead and get placed into a new spot within the same semester. But a lot of our students are living on campus because it's just nice to, as Gabby mentioned, have your roommate right next door, or your best friend down the hall, whatever it may be. But also you get a lot of perks, like having a resident assistant on the floor. You also have the opportunity to, you know, visit other friends in other buildings. And it's just a nice sense to know that you have that sense of safety and security by living in a residence hall on campus. Gabby, so I have a question for you, and I feel like before we open it up to some questions for those who are joining us, what was the reason that you chose Hofstra? Because I know that you've probably had a few options to choose from. What was the end reason, and what kind of was the cherry on top that made Hofstra where you wanted to call home?
So Hofstra was the very first school that I visited in my junior year of high school. And I probably visited about 10 other schools. And pretty much every single one that I went to, I kept comparing back to Hofstra. I don't really know what it was about Hofstra. I just kind of got a vibe, I guess is really the only way to describe it. I just felt like I could see myself going to school here. I could picture myself walking to class, hanging out with friends, eating in the dining halls, that kind of thing. And I got that pretty much as soon as I stepped on campus. Obviously, it's not like that for everybody, but there was just a feeling that I got where I was like, okay, is this just what college is like, or is this just what Hofstra is like? So I visited all my other schools, didn't really find one that compared to Hofstra. I found a couple others that I liked, but Hofstra was definitely my number one choice. So when I applied early, and I found out that I was accepted, and I was like, I applied to 2 other schools, and then I was like, okay, I got into Hofstra, I'm done. And then I pretty much hung out for the rest of my senior year. I came back for an admitted students day just to kind of like make sure like, all right, this is like definitely the place for me. I went on another tour But this time there were a lot more students on campus, which was really nice because I got to talk to them and ask them about their experiences, and all of them were very, very praiseworthy of the school and the environment that they had and all of their classes and their professors. And when I had first visited campus, my tour guide was pretty much like, oh yeah, everybody's super nice. It's so warm and so welcome. And I'm like, okay, you're just telling me that because you want me to come to Hofstra, like, sure. And then when I went to go back where there were like actually students, everybody was really nice and really welcoming and really warm. So it wasn't just a ploy to get me to come to Hofstra. It really is the truth. And as soon as I got to Hofstra, I definitely like was able to join clubs, and I said yes to a lot of things, and then only actually did like 4 of them. But it was a good environment to be in, and I felt like everybody wanted me there, and nobody was like, no, you're a first year student, like go away. It's not like high school at all. But yeah, and I think that probably like midway through my freshman year, I stopped saying, oh, I'm going back to my dorm, and I started saying, oh, I'm going home. So it was kind of like that nice little like, all right, yeah, I did pick the right school. So yeah, that's why I chose Hofstra.
That's great, thank you. And I feel like that really puts it into perspective for students. And although like visiting was a great thing for you, I mean, you do have the opportunity, like I said, to visit campus. So I just want to kind of plug that again. We are offering some opportunities to step foot on campus, but we've really done a great job of translating a lot of the Hofstra experience virtually. So we do have some virtual opportunities for students. They have the option to do virtual tours on their own by going to hofstra.edu/virtual visit. Or if you go to hofstra.edu/visit, you actually have the option to do a virtual tour with one of our students. So you might be seeing Gabby in the future on one of those, but you have the option to kind of have that, context of what it's like to be on campus with one of our current students as well. I want to take this time to go ahead and answer any questions that might have come up for our attendees. So feel free to drop any questions in the Q&A. And as we wait for some questions, one thing that I know is very common for a lot of families to ask is, what do I do if I don't know a certain question, or if I'm a first generation college student, what should I do? And the main thing that I want to point out is I'm your main resource. I am here for you. I'm here for your student. I'm here for you as a family. I am here for you to make sure that, if you're a counselor who's joining us on this session, I'm here so that your students have a resource. I was a first generation college student. I'm a Hofstra alum, so I very much know what it's like to make that transition. So I want to be as much as a resource to you students as I possibly can. So please do not hesitate to reach out. So any questions, if you don't know what questions to even ask, let me know, and I could kind of give you a rundown of what other students are kind of asking the university and things of that nature. But if any questions about the application arise, if you have any questions about visit opportunities as they're coming up, should I go just optional or not, please do not hesitate to reach out. I'm more than happy to be of help to you. It seems like we don't have any questions, so I want to ask Gabby a few more just so we can really make sure that students are getting a perspective on what it's like to be a Hofstra student. What is your favorite thing about campus, and what is one thing that you would change about campus?
My favorite thing about campus. Honestly, I keep talking about like the vibe, but there is one spot on campus that I absolutely love, and it's like very calming and a nice place to go when you're like stressed out. It's called Narnia. It's definitely my absolute favorite place. It's very whimsical. It has lampposts and lots of greenery, and it's a good place, one, to hang out, and two, to just kind of like take a walk around and like take a deep breath when you're feeling stressed out or overwhelmed or anything like that. So I like that there's a lot of like green space on campus. I really appreciate that. And I would say the one thing that I don't like about Hofstra, or that I would change, is the puddles, because my shoes, I never know when it's raining. It's just a habit. But I never know when it's raining. And so my feet always get wet because there are so many puddles on campus. So yeah, that's the one thing I would change. I would tell them to stop with the puddles.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, but I'm glad that you find things that you love, and there are pros and cons to everything, but you have that balance. I see that we have a question about the 4+4 program. In the sake of time, I don't want us to get cut off. I'm going to reach out to you individually and make sure that you get that answer to the question, and I'll go further in depth. But before we lose each other, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. Gabby, thank you so much for your time. I really think that it was beneficial to hear from a New Jersey student what it's like to be at Hofstra. Here's my contact again. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to help. And again, thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully I'll see your application on my desk sometime soon.
Go Pride!
All right, everyone, this concludes our time for this information session this evening. I want to thank you all for joining us tonight, and also thank you to both of our presenters. As a reminder, there will be a quick survey right after you close this window. It's a 4-question survey, and we would greatly appreciate if you could fill it out. You can always sign up for more sessions again at njacac.org/virtualfair. And these sessions and all of our sessions will be recorded. You'll be able to access them in about 1 week, again at njacac.org/virtualfair. Thank you for joining us. Have a great evening.